Hi, welcome back to Make It in SolidWorks. This is video number 7, in which I'm going to show you how to do a more complex handle than the one you did before, and that's why I'm calling it 7, because we won't be dealing with dimensioning in this exercise. So this is where we left off at the last handle, and this is where we're going to head to. Let's just rebuild that, right? Something like this with the ribs on the underside. And to that end, I have created a new configuration. I'm going to, just to make things easier for everyone, I'm going to just put all of these other commands which belong to other configurations into a folder. So I'm going to add to new folder. And we'll just say configs, give it a name. All right, those should actually be three separate folders with 3 separate configurations, but we don't need to do that right now. So I've got a sketch in here. It is based on a previous sketch. I'm going to make these visible. All right, so there are the 3 planes which I've been using. Something a bit odd about the way my mouse is moving. Not quite what right, got it. A bit of orientation there. Right, so I've put on this on the front plane. It should actually be on the top plane, but we're not going to worry about that for now. I've also linked it to this sketch. So there's that sketch. You can see it is in place. So the sketch is just to remind me of the size that I want to aim for. I'm going to edit this sketch just to show you how I went about doing it. So I drew 2 lines, and you can see that this one has got a relationship called I forget what it is. Let's just drag this out. I'll show you how I did that. So I'm going to make this sketch, the original sketch, visible. And I want to link that point to this line, which is in this original sketch. So these are 2 separate sketches. The way I do that is I hold the shift button down. Sorry, the control button. Is that the control? Hold the control button down. Yes. And then in the dialog box, you get this make pierce relation. Click on that, and it'll snap to the sketch. So in the sketch itself now, I want to give this an angle dimension, which I've got at 20 degrees. I put this line in here so that I could link the bottom point to the top point. I could do it in other ways. In fact, I might even do that. Let's delete that. I'm going to now give this a height. So I'm going to go from that point to the origin and make sure it goes parallel. So actually that's a length. I don't want to go that way. There we go. All right, and now if I put in one more dimension, I just establish the origin of that, the beginning of that line, 20. I should get a fully defined sketch. So now I can drive the sketch however I want. Let's just make these planes invisible, hide them so they're no longer there, and we'll make that one invisible as well. Wait, I have to exit the sketch to do that. So hide that one. Right, so here is my origin sketch. This is where the magic happens. I'm going to extrude, and because this is an open line, SolidWorks defaults to this thin feature toggle box. So if I click on I unselect the thin feature, you'll see there's nothing to preview. If I select it, you'll get this thin feature. It should default to 10 millimeters. I want it at 20, and I want it to go in the opposite direction, which I can do. So those are the parts of this command. You can auto fillet the corners and put in a fillet if you want. Don't do that for now. And then above that, in the direction, I can set the direction. So I've got it at 2 at the moment. That's just, it should default to 10 in yours. That's 100. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to go in two different directions. So I'm going to go to mid plane and type in 180 because that's the width that I want. I could also do 90 and go blind, and then use the second direction to go the other 90, but this way is quicker. So so far so good. Let's put in some fillets. Let's put in the fillet at the bottom. I'm going to make that fairly large, so 45 or so. Let's put another fillet in the top. Make this 20. And now I want to cut a shoulder out of this item, as I'm going to use this top plane to put a sketch in place and reintroduce a center line. So let me just put in for a sec, hold on. Let's put that. Right, so I've got this just so that you can see which commands I'm using. Right, so I'm on this plane. I'm in a sketch already. I'm just going to draw a sketch, but now I'm not going to mirror the sketch. I'm going to instead mirror the feature, just to show you another aspect of SolidWorks. Okay, so a few dimensions, 1, 2, 4 more. And that dimension relative to this point, which can make 8, and then that relative to that line, let's make that 75 or something, fairly small, yes, and then we can put in an angle. Maybe a bit steeper. Yeah, that's good enough for now. Right, so with that sketch selected, I'm going to do a cut extrude, which is here, extruded cut. Doesn't need to be that long, 25, as long as it goes through the item. And so now I want to mirror this feature instead of mirroring the sketch. There are a number of ways you can do it. I'll just show you the main one, which is to select a plane. So right plane would be the correct one. And then I've got my mirror command in my head-up display because I use it a lot. If you want to find it, just go to the top here and say like that, show command. Wait for your mouse to show you where it is. Okay, so it's actually in this command. There it is there. So sorry, we have to start again. I'm going to have to find that front plane, no, right plane. And then in the features to mirror box, I can either select the feature from the set of commands available to me in the window, like that. There we go, it's done it. Or I can actually select the feature in the model itself or on the model itself. And there we go, we've got a feature. The next step is to cut out a curve on the top of this model and then to cut out the handle. So I'm not going to re-establish any kind of plane. I'm going to go straight to my front plane, put my sketch in. I'm going to make an error here just to show you what happens and how you can fix it. So I'm going to put in a 3-point line, and I'm going to connect that line to that line using a tangent point. And these are independent, so I need to just connect them by saying make horizontal. And I want to control this line using a dimension, a radius dimension. Let's flatten this a bit. Let's make it 380. And so all I need to do now is just to fill in a sort of a box so that we can cut extrude. A few dimensions. And here I'm going to show you, no, I'll show it to you later. Okay, I'll show you a trick with linking dimensions. It's not the best place to do it. Okay, so exit that, and then we will say cut extrude. Drag this out because I'm lazy, and watch what happens here. Ooh, it's cut. It hasn't cut this thing to that top line. It's cut it to the bottom line because I selected the wrong line. So very easy to fix. You can just go into the sketch, select, edit the sketch, select this line, delete that relationship, and then click on the line, hold the control button down and click on the line you really want and re-establish that, make tangent. Okay, exit that, and there we go, it's done it. Right. Next step would be to put in, yes, we first need to go back to the front plane, and I'm going to sketch on the front plane because I want my handle to appear here. So I'm in the sketch environment. I'm going to put in a center line. And then now I could, just go to shortcut, I could use a 3-point arc. Let me see if I can show you a shorter way of doing this. So I'm going to use this a slot. It works the same as a 3-point arc in the beginning, in that you just click 3 points and then you drag out your slot. All right. And now these regions here indicate to me that somehow this slot is linked to what's going on underneath it. Oh, wait a minute. I know what's going on, just to show you. Okay, that just means that the sketch is intersecting this lower plane, but not the top one. All right. I actually see a problem here. I don't want the sketch to be on this plane. I don't know why I chose that plane. I'm going to change the sketch plane. So I've exited the sketch. I'm going to select the sketch, and then I get this command, edit sketch plane. At the moment, I can see it goes to the origin, and then it goes to the face of that extrude thin. I want it to go to the front plane. It's going to be easier for me to manage it. So I select edit sketch plane, and then in the graphics area, you'll have to get your commands to come down. I select the front plane, and the sketch will go to a new plane. Right, so that might make it easier to manage because it's less likely to get connected to points that I don't want it to get connected to. Right, so what at the moment I can't do much with this that I want to do with it. So because it is currently a slot, which means I can't, if I select a line, it selects the whole thing, okay? So the way to get around that is to right click on, once you've selected the sketch, right click on it, go down to this command explode slot, and now it is a just a mere sketch. It is no longer a slot. I'm going to introduce some solid lines in here and some relationships. So I want those two to be symmetric around that point. I should now be able to get this, and oh, they are already connected. I should be able to drag these out, get that connected. I should be able to drag these in a little bit and this down a bit, just so that it is where I want it to be, not too much. Okay, and let's give this a location. Let's make that 20. I hope it doesn't go. Okay, so didn't like that. It has something to do with the relationships that I'll set up in here. And I'm not sure what they are. So one of the ways I do that is to display delete relations, and then go to the top here, make sure that all in the sketch are selected. And you can see, especially things like coincident, those three seem to be fine, as does that one. Wait a minute, that one doesn't. So have a look here. This coincident one is in fact coincident with a line at the bottom, so that no matter what I do to the sketch, it's always going to be linked to this bottom line, this invisible line. So I'm going to delete that coincident. Let's click on another one, and that one as well. Right, so the other ones, when I click on them, they show me what they're doing. So I should be okay. So that's one way that you can figure out if things are not as you want them to be. So now I should be able to put in a dimension from that point to this point. Try that again. From there to there. And I should be able to change it and it'll do what I want. Great. Let's put in a width from there to there. Make that 140. Right. And I might be able to make these horizontal. Yes, I can. Okay, so now I know that that line and that line and that line are all concentric, which means I can set the dimension of one of them, the radius of one of them. Let's make it 340 or something like that. And then I can also set the dimension between two of them to, let's say, about 15. There we go. And that's much neater. And the last thing I want is, I do want to control this angle. Okay, so let's make that 65 and see. It doesn't like that. Right, so in this case, I can only control one of two things, either the width or the angle. 45 will be too much. 25, let's see if that does it. I'm not quite sure why that is, but I'm happy with it. Yeah, okay, let's leave it like that. So there's my sketch. It's on the bottom plane. I want to extrude it through the whole cut extrude. So go to cut extrude. It's going the wrong direction. Let's just click on this, go the other direction. And that's good enough for now. Yeah. So the next step is to put in a draft. So let's go to draft. And for draft, I only need one face at the bottom, which is this primary face. And then when I select in the faces to draft selection box, I can select these faces one by one. So I can go click, 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 click. Or I can go to this second button here, this face propagation one. And I can say a long tangent, which will select some of the faces, or in this case, none. Or I can say all faces, and it'll select all that it can find that are relevant. You can see it selected some that are not relevant, so I should be able to control click just to get rid of them, and then it has not selected others, which I can just click to add to the selection. Okay, there we go. And that's at 3 degrees. I've made it quite steep. And the arrow is pointing down. It should be pointing up. So just click on that arrow so that it gets narrower at the top. And we need to just check that this is going in the right direction. So let's go to section view. And in the section view, I can see that it's narrowing at the top because I want to hollow this out. So narrow at the top, wide at the bottom is good. That's what I want. Let's leave that as it is. And so the next step would be to put in the fillets on the edges. Okay, so here I'm going to, you've probably seen this already, but I'll show it to you again. I'm going to select the fillet command. I'm going to deselect this edge. And then when I click on this edge again, because I've selected the show selection toolbar, what will appear next to my mouse is this set of selection choices, right? So as you mouse over, you can see which of the edges it's selecting. This number 3 looks good, but maybe number 4 is better. 4 is better because it's giving me all of the uprights, and then these other ones are not suitable at all. So number 4 was correct. I want that one. It doesn't like that. Okay, the reason is this 20 millimeters is too large. Make it 10 mils. That's good. So there's a shortcut for you, a quick way of not doing too much work. Visually, this isn't looking good. I want this to be maybe -4. Will that do it? I did the opposite. There we go. I can just drag this down. It looks better. Right, so far so good. What do we need next? I need to shell this, but before I shell it, I must put in the edge fillet. So just have a look at these 4, 5, 6 faces. The edges of these faces are describe a shape which has like a smooth curve to it, and that's what you really want if you want to put in edge fillets. So not corner fillets. I mean, I call these corner fillets, and these ones that go around faces, edge fillets or face fillets. There are two ways I can do this. I can select a line and put in a fillet, or I can just select, as I did before, all 4 faces and say fillet. And now it's going to give me whatever my last fillet was, which was 10. Let's make it 2.2 or something in that region. All done. And now I'm not going to put in the bosses from this side. I'm going to put them in from the underside, so we'll have hidden bosses. So the next step would be to shell this item. At the moment I want it at 1.8. I'd already entered that. So in the shell command, I do need to select all the faces I don't want, that I want to have empty. So there I've got those, and if I go like that, I've got it shelled. Okay, I'm just going to save this to make sure it doesn't get lost. Right, so now on this face I want to put in my bosses, so I'm going to put in a sketch. I could use this mounting boss command. Right now there's quite a lot to learn about it. As you can see, there's a lot of dimensions, and there are 2 different kinds. There's a hardware boss and a pin boss. Hardware boss is where you put a screw into the screw boss, and then you've got a thread boss at the bottom. They call it a head and a screw, and then the pin boss has a pin and a hole. We could use that whole one like this. We could place it like that, but too much work for now. I just want a simple boss, so I'm going to put in a sketch on that plane, and we'll go with a circle and another circle inside it. Let's dimension these. 12. Make this one about 8. That's fine. And so now I want to locate this. So let's locate it relative to the edge, because that suits me. So let's make that, I want to make it a dimension that I don't like, just to show you another feature of SolidWorks. So let's make this 10. Let's say, for instance, I don't want to have to enter these 2. I want to make them equal, but I don't want to have to change them one by one. I want to change them both at the same time. So I can select the one of these dimensions, and I can make it equal to the other. Here it doesn't matter which you do to which, so I'm going to select this one. I'm going to double click on it, and as soon as the dimension highlights, if you hit the equals key, you will now be able to select a whole lot of functions here. Don't worry about them, just go and select this other dimension, and you can see that it's now selected that dimension, so that this dimension is equal to that one. If I say OK, you'll see they both go to 8. Now I can't really enter on in the one that has been linked, that you see it's got a linked signal sign next to it. I have to enter the other one. Let's make this 10, and you'll see that the 2 dimensions update at the same time. So another shortcut, let's mirror this. Select those, go to mirror, select the mirror plane, and it's done. Okay, then exit the sketch, and then these I want to extrude. Now if I were to select this at just as it is, it's going to give me a solid boss. No, it hasn't. Oh, it's actually selected the whole sketch. Anyways, if it doesn't give you if it just gives you a solid boss, you can always go back into the feature, and you can see here, I should select this. There would be a part of this which actually gives you regions that you could select. I'll show that to you a bit later. It's on another video. So this is a bit tall at the moment. I'm going to drag it down somewhere around here. I can actually specify that if I want to. In fact, let's do that again, or let's just edit this feature, and let's say you want the top of this boss to reside about 2 to 3 millimeters below this parting face. Okay, so instead of going blind, I can go, or selecting the blind command, I can select offset from surface, and then all I need to do is select the surface that I want to offset it from, which is that one there. And at the moment I've got 17.9173, and it's not showing anything because it's going in the opposite direction and there's not enough space. So if I do the opposite direction, no, it seems not to do it. Reverse offset. Okay, so it was something to do that. There we go. So it's offsetted from that surface by 17 millimeters, and I want to offset it by 2 millimeters, but I want to not reverse it, go like that. There we go. And so now my bosses are offset from the surface by 2 millimeters. And the last step is to put in the ribs. This is fairly simple. The rib command is up here. I can click on the rib command first, and then I can go into the sketch. I like to sketch first, but I need to sketch on a plane which is lower than this boss. But in fact, I'm going to make a mistake. Let's select this face to put the sketch on. So I'm going to select the face and then say sketch, just to show you how you can fix these mistakes up. And so I'm going to do my usual establishing a center line. Now the trick with ribs is you only need keep doing that. You only need lines. You don't need shapes. You can use shapes if you want to, but you only need lines. And the lines don't need to be linked to anything. They can be out in space. So let's use that line just to show you how this works. So with the line selected, I go to rib. You'll see that you are given the option in the left-hand side of making it go normal to sketch, which is going up or down, or sideways. So in other words, that's going to extrude this way here. I obviously want it to go normal to sketch, and I want it to go down. Make sure it's not pointing up. Well, let's leave it pointing up, and you'll see what happens is if I say OK, it's going to give me an error message. If you see this message, the rib is not bounded properly, the first thing to check is that little arrow points in the right direction. Watch what happens here now. This rib is going to extend across the entire model, but it's not going to go beyond the model. So the sketch, as long as part of it is inside the model, will go across the model. If it's completely outside the model, just show you, you'll get nothing. Okay, so it must be inside the model. Let's just go back to this one here. So let me just finish this sketch off. We're in the command. So I want my sketch to do something like this. I want it to line up with the center of these two items here. So I can drag that out, and I want that point to also connect with this. So I'm going to make it, I think it's coincident. No, concentric, also not going to work. So that didn't work. The way that I can get that to connect to this point here is to put some points in. So I'm going to go to sketch, go to the point command, and I'm going to put 2 in because I'm going to need them both. 1, 2. Okay, so now I can select the end of that and this one here, and I can make them vertical. So now this line, that one as well, let's make those vertical. So that line is now fixed as far as going left to right, but not top to bottom. Okay, from here I want a few ribs, so let's put that a little bit higher, and I'm going to go to linear sketch pattern, and you'll see that the default is to select the X direction as the way to go, and it's peeping out here by 10 millimeters. That's 10 millimeters there, and I've got 2 here. So if I reduce that to 1, you'll have nothing, but you can't have nothing. You have to have something in the Y direction. So in the Y direction I want 3. They're going in the direction I don't want, and by 10 millimeters I can adjust this by clicking in here or typing something in and hitting enter. Right now I'm not really too worried about where the line lines up. In fact, yeah, okay, so let me just show you a trick then. These are now equally spaced. I can fix this top line. Let's make that 10, right? So you can see it's fixed, and I can fix these by giving them a dimension as well. Or if I want this one to line up with that point, I can just get them to line up by saying them make coincident. However, if I do that, it means that my rib's going to go inside of this line, so that's not so good. But let's leave it like that for now, and let's just draw the vertical lines in the same way. So this time I'm going to link the line, the vertical line, to that point as well. Make coincident, okay. And now the good thing about this line is it's going to, it's only going to reach that point in the model. So let's just make a linear sketch pattern, and let's make it 7 of these items. I'm not going to even worry about putting a dimension in. I'm just going to make them coincident like that. So that was not so good. Put those 2 in and make them vertical. There we go. Okay, so if I made it coincident, it would come down to this point, link to this point, which is not what I want. So let's see what happens here. I can tell you now that these ends are just, the rib for that line is going to only extend to that point. The rib for that point will only extend to that point, but these ribs will extend beyond that. And these horizontal ribs will only extend to the vertical ends, and then they will cross through that point there. Let's see if I'm right. There we go. Oh, actually, this top one has extended to the end, not the middle one, though. So this is a problem here. Obviously, this is not what I want. There are 2 problems with it. One is that it's extending beyond the actual boss, and the second is that it's taller than the boss. So let's fix the taller than boss one first. And the way I do that, I've shown you already. I can go to the sketch, and if I click on it, I can say I want to edit the sketch plane. At the moment, I don't really have a good basis to do that because I've got nothing that's in a suitable region to put it onto. So I'm going to roll this feature back so it's no longer available. And then I'm going to put another plane lower than the top of this one, but parallel to this plane. So let's go to reference geometry, put a plane in. You can see it's got 3.5 millimeters. That's the last dimension I entered. I can flip the offset so that it goes down, and that's doing what I want. It's actually got 3.5 millimeters. It's lower than this 2 millimeters. So I'm going to say okay. And now that I've got that sketch in place, I can use it as long as the sketch appears before, as long as the plane, now that I've got the plane in place, as long as the plane appears before the sketch, which is why I roll this back, I can use it. So I can go to the sketch, I can say edit sketch plane, and then I will have to get my on-screen graphics area commands to appear, and I select that plane that I've just created. So it's now placed that sketch on that plane instead of on the top one. There we go. All right, so we've solved we've solved that these ribs go below that point there, but we haven't solved that one. So the way to do that, go back to the sketch. I need to get that line specifically short of this item, so it doesn't go into the boss. Let's just go back like this. There we go. Right, so probably the easiest way is to delete the second line and start. Let's do that where you can see what the commands are, and start a new line and make it short of these ones and get that one to line up with that one. Coincident. It seems it's already lined up. If I make it coincident, no, it's not going to join. Okay, great. Right, so then I just need to put in a dimension from here to here. And I know that these are all equal, so I'm going to leave it as it is. And then these lines here, it seems that this line has lost its relationship to that one there. No, it hasn't. Okay, so I could now put a dimension in between just two of these. It should fix all of them. There we go. That's got it done. The way to now solve the rest of this is I don't want to move these lines out of sync of the center point because I want the ribs to join the bosses in the center. That's good molding practice. What I can do is just add some more lines in here. So I can add in a line like that, which I can now pattern if I want to, or I can just control, click and drag, drop it in. To do that again, I'm going to control, click and drag to here. There we go. So that one seems not to have done it. So control, click, drag. The trick there is to keep the control button held down. It seems like I didn't do that. Yes, and it seems like I've taken this line away from there because I let go too early. There we go. So now we've got 4 lines. Just link these ones. Coincident. That one with this one. Collinear. Doesn't really matter if these lines go past what they should. I'm going to have to do the same at the bottom. So, sorry about this. Let's just pattern that. Linear sketch pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make that 5. I'm not even going to worry about. I'm just going to drag this across to this point and go up a bit. There we go, and they're linked. Okay. So not quite fully fully resolved sketch, fully described sketch, because these points are blue points. But for now, that's going to be good enough. I'd be fine if you left the sketch like this. If I exit this, it should now properly. There we go. There are your ribs in place. Hopefully that was fun. If it wasn't, I don't know how to help you, but I will see you in the next video.